Where we last left off, we had all the pieces created. Let's go ahead and start assembling. So let's open up a new assembly file, and we're going to place into there all of the pieces. Oh, and I need to find them for a second. Let's see. Put those on the desktop. And the Trammel of Archimedes folder. And there they all are. So I'm going to hold down Shift, select the first one, select the last one, open them all up at once, place them all at the same time. Here we go. And now I can look and see what we're working with. And actually I need 4 of these little rubber feet. So I can either go back in and say place and get more, or I can go to, should be a way to make a copy of. It used to be easy way to make copies. That's okay. Not necessary. We'll just go to place. Rubber foot, and there's number 2, 3, and 4. Right click, say you're done, and let's piece it together. I'll show you a couple new constraints that I haven't showed you yet. So we're still going to do mate. If you click on the rounded outside edge, you'll select the axis in the middle. And we're also going to select the axis from here, so I click on that rounded edge. That one you've seen. But this just means it's going to be true to that axis, and actually I don't want this moving around. So let me click it once to select it, right click it, and I'm going to ground this base piece. Okay? So now it's just this piece that can move. Well, I want it to be straight up and down, and I also want it to be kind of spaced in the middle of all this. So instead of going through and measuring, I'm going to click constrain. I'm going to use an angle constraint and a directed angle. So I say I want this to be the same angle as this flat face here. Apply. And that's going to make it to where it won't spin, it will only slide back and forth. And if I look at it from the right side, actually that's a pretty snug fit, isn't it? For some reason I thought that there's a little bit of extra space in between, but maybe not. Okay, so we have a pretty tight fit. We're going to do something similar with this piece here. We can also use a directed angle, and we'll just start off with that. So directed angle on this face and this face. It's kind of like making a flush constraint, but it's an angle constraint. It's saying these two surfaces will be pointed the same direction. And then I'm also going to come down here. We added a fillet to the bottom of this, so I should be able, how do I want to do this? It's a little trickier with this particular camera angle too. I think I'm just going to try and mate the edge. So I mate this edge here to the bottom edge of this slider piece, which the edge is actually going to be an axis because of the fillet. And we'll have to look and see what that looks like. It actually goes through that a little. So let's offset it, and let's see what point 1 looks like. Oh, not so good. It's not going the direction I hoped it might. Let's just cancel that altogether then. I see there is a flat spot under here. We might just take advantage of that instead. Let's go constrain. We'll grab that flat spot, and then this top flat edge. Mate those two up together. See what it looks like. Yeah, it looks more or less alright. It's not centered yet, but it does look better. So let's go apply. And I think if I look under here, I might be able to mate that face and this face and see what that looks like. That's looking pretty good too. It's nice and it's tight for sure, but it looks like everything fits. Let's go and apply that. So now if I go out, this should be able to slide back and forth. This can slide back and forth. Our controller here, we're going to use the short side to attach both of these. So let's go constrain. We're going to use our insert constraint, which we've used in the past. And you click on the outside of the two holes that you want to link together. It'll attach there. Apply. I'm going to have to rotate this around a little bit so I can see the other side. So I'm going to do the same kind of insert constraint. Only this time I'm going to use the top of the triangle slider piece, and I have to use the underside of the controller. And it doesn't like that very well. I can cancel that momentarily. Let's go with a mate instead. See if that works out better. And we'll just zoom in and click on the rounded part to select the axis. We'll select the axis of that. Apply. They should be at the same height. I think we made the heights the same. Yep, looks good. There you go. You kind of get an idea of how that would go around. With our controller here, we're going to do a similar constraint. Zoom in and click on the axis and the other axis. And then I'm going to click on the flat part here and just underneath where those two will be mated together. The rubber feet are going to go on the base of all this. So you'll be able to see the underside. And this would be a lot nicer if I would have went through and made a couple little spots for their feet specifically to go. We might mess with that later. Oh, I think I just hit cancel. Let's try this again. I'm curious. If I made the axes up, where does that leave the piece? Way in the middle, where it doesn't actually do anything. I think I may just modify this after the fact. That'll be okay. Nah, maybe not. I'm going to take off this constraint. Let's kind of place this instead. So it won't be truly mated to it, but it'll give the user an idea. And the way we design these, it looks like they just stick on anyway. There's no screw holes or anything for them. There's the last one. Now, one thing you'll notice is that we have these holes here that look like they're designed for something to screw into them. They're 0.125 in diameter, and we did not create a screw. If you go into place component, we don't have anything to put in there, so instead we're going to place from the content center, where I utilize this. And this is something else that's new that I haven't showed you guys before. We have all different kinds of things in here under fasteners. We have cable harnesses, we have other molded parts and other parts and shaft parts, sheet metal. We're just going to go ahead for fasteners, look in the bolts folder, and let's go with something with a round head. We don't want something in metric, although we could. We know it's 0.125. How about why these all seem like they're metric? Well, let's go ahead and grab one. We'll go to place one in. It has a little question mark next to it. You'll notice that. Once we go to place it in, it's going to ask us for what kind it is. Thread description is actually going to be an M5, and then the length of it, we had it to be about an inch or so, so in millimeters that'd be about 25. We'll just need 2 of those. See if this is too big. This looks a little large for what we're doing. Something tells me we did something wrong. Let's go ahead and scrap these. We'll delete these out of here. Let's go back to place from content center. And I found these. It says these are in inches. So let's go ahead and grab one of those. It says cross recessed Philister head machine screw. Okay, and again we have the little question marks. We can just drop one in there. And I think number 5 is different from M5, so we'll try that. And that seemed a little long too, so let's go with 0.625. And fine, coarse, and we'll stick with fine. That looks a little better. Let's see what these seem like. Constrain, insert. There we go. Oh, should not have left that open. I was gonna double click on this and just get like a ghost of it, I guess you'd say, to see how well it fits in, but I think I really want to double click the screw instead, if it'll let me. There we go. Alright. So yeah, you can kind of tell with the diameter, that looks about right. The length looks about right. It's not going to go through the bottom at all. I think that'll work. Let's go return. And there's a couple other things I want to do to this, but I think I'm running out of time, so I'm going to put that in the next video instead. I'm going to show you how to animate this next.